But on to this match, Russian Jade Falcon versus 228 Swamp Foxes in the elimination round. Drop 1, Mining Collective. So we've been seeing a lot of mining here today.
Yeah.
Some different strats involved. We'll be interested to see if Swamp Fox has picked up on bringing the Panther like Blackwatch. I don't think it was the right choice, but you know, it must have been panning out well in scrimmages. We'll have to see if they have their own set of strats or if they've picked up stuff from essentially Big Brother, but maybe they'll find success.
I was trying to avoid using that phrase, but
what, Big Brother?
Big Brother,
basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you know, when you've got a large team like 228, we kind of ran into this with even Marine mechs and stuff like that. When you've got multiple units within your same team, or multiple teams within your same unit, it does turn into a little bit of a farm team, like a minors and a majors and stuff. Yep. Where anybody that shows some significant talent can get moved up into the A team per se, and you can try and say, oh, well, we're not going to do that, but when you've got one team consistently playing at a Div A level, it's
hard to say no to that.
It's hard to say no to that. I mean, it's kind of the winning thing. As long as everybody understands that and stuff, then it is what it is. But Swamp Foxes has been showing a lot of, you know, they've got a lot of talent coming into this one, I think, compared to what we've seen from them in the past. They don't really look like, you know, the younger sibling this time. I do think Blackwatch is still a little bit higher up than Swamp Foxes, but Swamp Foxes is coming to play, and we'll have to see how they do against RJF.
Yeah, do notice no Panther on the field for Swamp Foxes, so maybe that stuck in. Did bring the Grasshopper, Javelin, Hunchback, Black Knight, Banshee, Wolfhound, Spider, and Stalker. That's the pretty standard deck that we've been seeing so far.
RJF
in the semifinals.
Opting for an Enforcer and a Vindicator, both of them with jump jets to get up into the high area, but the disadvantage of getting high up is you can get rained on by LRMs. Enforcer bringing AC-10 and one large laser, and the Vindicator with LRM-5, a PPC, a medium laser, and 2 machine guns. So opting for a little bit more of that verticality there. A big spread by RJF. They've got the Javelin kind of poking around on the left side, but he's got eyes on this big, heavy movement on this right side here by Swamp Foxes. And they're getting a little bit of free burn into
RJF also
him.
back capping on Kappa as well.
So this main body for Swamp Foxes kind of held up on the ramp here. They look like they want to get up on Theta, but are kind of hesitant to do so with this RJF spread. They've got mechs all over the place, and it's going to be tough for Swamp Foxes to get away from just taking constant damage here.
Yeah, Swamp Foxes needs to realize the spread for RJF right now, and the counter to that is be aggressive. Run over the weak points in the spread,
or at least rotate.
Yeah.
If you know, if they got issues on the right side, maybe it's best to rotate left and force them all into a pack with each other, you know. But right now they're just kind of hanging out, getting their trades where they can. But the Black Knight on the outside with Javelin backing him up, he's gonna start getting some more angles in, and the strikes are going back and forth.
Around on the other side as well. I really like this position for RJF. I feel like they've got the upper hand. If you're 228, you've got to make up your mind. You can't just sit here on the ramp.
So both teams seem pretty content with trading back and forth. We've got some Black Knight on Black Knight action going on. Ooh, big strike across that Banshee and that Stalker from RJF. And they've moved up to Theta. They got that 4P now. I think they realize that they've shifted down to the bottom of the ramp, and that's going to concede Theta for RJF to start moving up and getting some angles.
Swamp Foxes don't make this right side push.
This seems like a bit of a misplay here, especially with that Black Knight on the right side, unless they can take him down. But they're kind of walking into being surrounded, and that Wolfhound coming in on the backside here, getting some shots in on the Stalker. Iron Kilo getting shredded. He is now sticked.
And this Hunchback as well, making some big plays. Wolfhound and Hunchback very aggressive, but they're paying off for him right now.
That Wolfhound getting shots in on Darklight in that Black Knight. He's one shot center torso.
Black Knight goes down for RJF. That's a big kill.
But they lost the Black Knight on Swamp Foxes as well. The Wolfhound doing some work, getting in on the backfield. And Swamp Foxes essentially walked themselves into a kill zone.
The Enforcer marched up and killed the Banshee and the Stalker.
And RJF just in for cleanup at this point. That, to me, was a misplay by Swamp Foxes, knowing that they had a mech on that right side and essentially walking out into the field. RJF responding well by getting their Hunchback up on top and bringing their Wolfhound into the backfield. And they just completely annihilated Swamp Foxes. That was no contest right there.
You don't make a right side push when you're getting poked from the right side, and you know the enemy team's spread out.
I mean,
They've got eyes on you.
If they killed him, I mean, if they did the work to kill that Black Knight, maybe then they could pull off a right side push. But even still, I don't like that right side push in general because you can't get back up top. RJF just takes a step forward. They have the high ground on you then, and it's, you know, that is.
We've all seen those terrible Star Wars movies. We know what happens when you have the high ground.
Hello there, General Kenobi. Oh man, yeah, that was rough. I mean, that I think Swamp Foxes are gonna wish they can go back in time for that one. They do have a cap lead with their Spider Wolfhound Javelin. I didn't even know they had a Spider on the field. Actually, he's just not contributing. He's not contributing to anything. I mean, yes, he's gonna get Kappa flipped. I don't see. I mean, RJF's spreading out. The only thing that could save him is some really key lights getting some kills, some really clutch kills. But that would take a miracle. I would get so hyped if that manages to happen here. But this Wolfhound and Javelin, it's gonna be rough.
I mean, they still RJF still has a couple of fresh mechs basically on the field. Vindicator Pelmashek at 86%, Javelin's at 74, doing pretty well. I just don't see how 228, you know, they would have to have some insane light play to pull this off. That push is not the right move.
Half of this Wolfhound just got ripped off by that AC-10 Terminator in that Enforcer, doing some work, definitely. And now Odin Steel surrounded by 3 mechs. He gets taken out. Javelin and the Spider are the last 2 remaining. And this is going to be just cleanup for RJF. So, right side push, I mean,
right side push when the other team has vision and fire flanking you. Yeah, I mean, I don't... If they had presence right here and were just trading into the Black Knight, which they were doing, that's not too bad. But, you know, we're talking about aggression. I feel like we just saw this happen like last week where somebody decided to push up the side. It was the opposite side, though. They pushed low on this side. Was that the same deal? I thought.
No, I don't think so. That I'm thinking like because it was countered immediately. I don't remember exactly what matches it was, but as soon as they saw them push around that outside, they just went up on Theta and started slaughtering them. That's if you're gonna be aggressive.
The same thing.
We were talking about Blackwatch being aggressive over the top, but they stalled out and had issues there. I still think Blackwatch had the right idea in that if you're gonna get aggressive, you have to go over the top. Because the only way I see going out around this right side working at all is if they killed all these outskirt mechs, like this Black Knight and anybody that was standing up on this corner. If they killed them on the approach, then maybe. But but
even still, you allow mechs like the Hunchback, the Wolfhound, those quicker mechs to get up on top, and they're just shooting you in the back. I mean, to me, you can't concede Theta like that unless you're not even going to be near Theta. You know, if you're going to play off the ramps, you're going to play kind of on the far side of things. You can't be next to Theta, but on the low ground. So tough decision for 228. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board here. RJF, they'll take that any time of day.
That looked really clean for RJF.
Yeah, absolutely. I like this Enforcer and Vindicator combo here. It's not a ton of firepower, but the jump jets on this map really give you a lot of options.
Target destroyed.
Vindicator with some machine guns too.
Yeah. It took him a long time to kill that Spider with 1 PPC, 1 laser, 1 machine gun or whatever, or 2 machine guns and an LRM-5. Not a lot of firepower, but it had the verticality. They really wanted to use the height to get the angles on 228. Now the LRMs I think kind of negated that a little bit, especially the positions that they took initially. They were kind of forced off the top deck because of the LRMs and the easy vision they have on those, but the mobility adds up. I mean, it lets them get to where they need to be in a moment's notice when you can go up the side of a wall, basically. But 228, I mean, they got some damage downfield. I feel like they could have continued trading, but I don't like having their entire team stuck on that ramp. And like you said before, they're kind of giving up a stronger position. That north side really seems to be the stronger position. But it's harder to take that north side when you're team one. Like, it's just, you don't have a clear way to get there, an easy way to get there compared to
but they
team
were grouped up enough on that ramp. I think they would have taken some damage, but if you're aggressive enough as a group, which they were in position, you know, you're ready to kind of spread out and take that. You know, you have to deal with the Black Knight. That Black Knight over there is going to cause some problems, but you got to do something other than what they just did. We'll leave it at that.
Anything, a push up the left side, even though I think that would have been a bad idea, it might have done better, just because now that Black Knight, you know, he's all alone on the other side of the field. He had a light with him, but what is he gonna do? Like, if you push the opposite side, you take him out of the picture. Now you can at least isolate another group of mechs on the push up the left side. But opting to push directly into where they have all their guns trained, that was a suicide push. At least up over the top, the Black Knight would have been able to get occasional scratch as you pass between the buildings, but at least in that instance, you're still kind of isolating half of the team. That didn't look like World Championship caliber strats right there. I think Swamp Fox has made a big miscall on that one and paid for it dearly. I mean, that match was over in minutes. I mean, it took a while to finish up, but that was over in minutes, in my opinion. And I didn't really think that they were necessarily doing bad on the trades. They were kind of clumped up and getting struck out, but I don't think they really let anything develop.
The positioning was poor in terms of the longer that goes, the more I think it would have spiraled out of control for them.
Yeah.
But they were grouped up enough and in a position where they could have moved to better trading positions, and I just felt like instead the call was made to be aggressive. I don't think that was the right call, and when they were, like we said,
I don't think it's before, a bad idea to be aggressive, though. I mean, I don't think that was the bad call. It was the direction they took and how they executed it, I think, was a big mistake. I don't mind 228 saying let's be aggressive.
Yeah.
If they went up and over the top, I think they would have at least had a fighting chance. Even going up the left side, they would have at least nullified one mech's worth of damage. And it would have had a fighting chance, but either they needed to find better positions and let it develop, or they needed to be aggressive in the correct path to limit the amount of people that can slaughter you.
And when it was happening, I mean, I even said when it was happening, right? Oh, we're going back to mining. Oh boy. But I even said when it was happening, you know, the counter to this spread is either you try and spread out yourself or you be aggressive and push a weak spot. I just didn't think that the answer to that is a right side aggressive push.
Yeah, I was watching it. I'm like, well, if this Black Knight can score a kill against the other Black Knight, that'll open up the right side. But that wasn't. It wasn't time. You know, I do think that they kind of got themselves into a bad position and needed to make a move. Just not that. Maybe they thought they could come whipping around the corner and just one-shot him or something. I don't know, but. That hunchback, though, there was a good read. Somebody saw that push, or at least somebody saw that they were all on that side of the ramp, and that hunchback took a ballsy push to march right on up. I almost think that if 228 backed up around the corner and went theta at that point, that hunchback could have gotten caught out. But he was clearly responding to a call. Somebody saw that Swamp Foxes was about to get aggressive.
Well, that Black Knight did. He was right on the side. I mean, eventually he went down, but
it just seemed like during
the push.
The hunchback seemed like he was getting up on theta a little bit before the push actually occurred, to where the timing was almost godlike, that he got into position to start firing down on them right when they called the push. And it was like immediately pushing Swamp Foxes through a meat grinder because they were getting hit from 3 areas and 4 once the Wolfhound got in. He got right into the mix and was just taking his time, just syringing the back armor of all those mechs that were remaining. and then the Enforcer coming in and scoring a double kill. Those two guys in the corner there, after they got around and got into that little bit of a ditch, it's like they had backs against the wall trying to get something done, and this Enforcer just rolls in and scores 2. It was not pretty. That was not pretty.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that Hunchback was being a little aggressive on Theta because of all the mechs, you know, that the Hunch, right, with those really high mounted medium lasers, is a pretty good mech for peeking over the ramp.
Yeah.
You know,
and he has the mobility to get out if he needs to. Like, even if they
Yeah.
did double back and push him, he could just drop off the side and have the protection from the Black Knight and the Enforcer behind him. He would have had an out. So he's got the mobility to get up there and get out again if need be. He's got the high mounts to be able to fire down from that position. And I think that was a good move by that Hunchback to just get in there. And, you know, I think, honestly, though, I think RJF, even without that Hunchback in the picture, I think they had just...
they win that push.
They had a great firing line set up for that. And it didn't take much for them to just get guns to bear and start popping Swamp Foxes pretty hard there.
Yep.
So we are going back to Mining Collective again.
I tell you what, if 228 wins this drop, they might want to consider banning Mining Collective at some point. I feel like it's just... Today will not go down as a good day in 228 history for Mining Collective if they lose this drop. So
this position up here is just so strong. You have so many options. You've got multiple layers that you can work of. You got... Effectively, you've got the guys right on the front ramp, you got a ramp here, you got a ramp here, and then you've got a back path. Those all can be stacked up. They're far enough away that you can't just send one airstrike and hit all of them. Compare that to what, you know, 228 has, which is basically that, and they're all bundled up together. It's just asymmetrical. There's so much more comfort on the north side.
Yep.
And, like, how do you counter that, then? You try and do this. And you do this. They see that, they come down essentially here, but you almost want them to do that. You almost want to force the other team to concede and move into this lower area, and then maybe you got a chance at it. But in this, at least in the stock, I mean, it wasn't the same in normal, where you got cakes, and then you've got on the opposite side, you've got people back here, you got them up here, you got them up back here, you can move them up to here.
And that's the effect of the reduced range.
So
yeah,
this map just seems to be so north side oriented right now, and it has just clear firing lines into Theta. What do you got on the other side? You've got potentially a Grasshopper sitting up here, maybe. I mean, I guess we'll see in a little bit here what RJF is going to do. Are they going to have their jump jet boys, you know, popping up for angles to get their hits into Theta from that side, or are we just going to see a fight up in the north side? I honestly think with the weapon systems and the mechs that Swamp Fox has brought, if they just brought it hard right into RJF here and maybe put them on their heels from the very beginning, just like right off the bat, I think they would have had a better chance.
Agreed. I think that's the counter. If you're playing on that side and you can't easily get to the north side, you know, I think the counter is be aggressive, push into them. Don't give them the time to use the superior angles and firing lines to wear you down.
Right. And so far we've seen multiple teams trading well from that north side, and the teams that are being aggressive up onto Theta are losing the trades. And it's just with skill or not, it just seems like there's more firing lanes available.
Yeah.
To cleanly fire into Theta than there are to fire out of Theta.
Yeah, and the problem is we've seen Swamp Foxes and before them 228 Blackwatch be aggressive in pushing, but it's been too little too late, or it's been, you know, hesitant in doing so. If you give up that position, you give up north side position, you need to be aggressive and move early.
RJF side, I am seeing no deck changes. I got that AC-10 Annihilator, the Banshee, the Black Knight, but then they also have the Enforcer, and they have the Vindicator. Now, one of the key points here is, okay, they seem to be heavy on the south side. Are they going to drive north or not? I don't know. But they have the verticality with the Enforcer and the Vindy that they could maybe survive the south side a little bit better. But
early cap on Theta. 228 getting that uncontested right now. That's a good start for 228
too.
Yeah.
RJF with a pretty heavy southern presence right now.
And 228 moving south side again. Are they thinking maybe they just roll over them? They've got a Banshee and a Stalker moving up to the ramp here. This is going to be a pretty big opening salvo, except for the fact
they're
RJF
fast.
Looks like they're backing off.
228 opting for a Grasshopper over an Annihilator, bringing the Stalker and the Banshee and the Black Knight. They're marching them up to Theta, and it looks like RJF is just setting up a lot of firing lanes. There's not going to be a lot of places to fight from Theta. Sigma's wide open, though, so this could, with controlling Theta, this could be into the advantage of Swamp Foxes as long as they don't get traded out. If you're holding a 3-cap, you don't need to be making peaks. You don't need to be softening up your enemy. You want to make them push into you, and you want to be ready for it. So there's no reason to be taking damage here, especially if you're going to get a clean 3-cap. But like Iron Kilo and the Stalker here, he's trying to trade 1v3. He's dealing less damage than he's taking. That doesn't need to be happening. They're just weakening you up for their ultimate push.
Yep. They did get some initial good damage on the Enforcer, their Terminator, taking some fire. In return, though, took a little bit of fire on the Banshee. And like you said, Iron Kilo down to 82%. That hurts. And it looks like RJF going to try and set up around them.
It looks like 228's going for... Yeah, they're going for the back cap on Gamma, actually. Like, they're actually going to remove a cap from RJF, but they've got Pelmashek in that Vindy. He's watching over the point. He won't be able to stop anything, and it looks like the Wolfhound's getting in there to get some, at least hold him off while they get the cap. That's going to be the only saving grace, I think, for Swamp Foxes, but if they continue to take a lot of damage, it's going to be an issue. And it looks like Theta has been pushed over. The Annihilator is now on Theta, and Swamp Foxes has been pushed off.
They're just rotating right now, and I don't think it's helping them. They're getting spread out right now. Hunchback still on Theta, trying to protect, but RJF coming up right behind these assault mechs here. Iron Kilo goes down on the Stalker. I mean, he was just moving right on in. Banshee now taking shots from behind from the Hunchback. Once again, Hunchback on top of Theta, getting shots in back. And that is just not a good push once again.
Not only that, but an uncontested Annihilator just standing up there, shredding people down. I don't think the push needed to happen. That's where we keep talking about, like, there's a time to be aggressive, and when you're going to be aggressive, you have to be very deliberate with your actions. But in this case, not only did they have a 3-cap against a 1, and then they had Sigma wide open and available, why push? What advantage did they think they had that they needed to push on that one, being up 3 caps to 1? Like, I didn't mind that they were back-capping Gamma there. The Vindicator had nothing on him. The light play on the left side was good. And then I look over and Theta's vacated. They're being chased by an Annihilator, and then they walk into a kill box. That was
not a clean push at all. Not the right call.
I'd like to know kind of what the thought was on that. That you put yourself in a good position to,
and then immediately give it up.
And then give it up. You walk into their firing line like that. There's a time to be aggressive and there's a time to be patient. Right there, I think, yes, 228 was losing the trades. That's important. That's something I think they needed to clean up. They needed to stop peeking, stop getting hit by stuff, stop getting struck. That would have hurt them later, but at the very least, let your lights do their job, try and control the caps, and see how long you can delay it.
Even if you've lost the trade, once you establish a good position, hold it for a little while and see if you can't pull it back in your favor, either through the caps or through the trades, or both. And instead, it really, to me, felt like 228, it seemed like they felt like they took a lot of damage on the ramp being clustered up on the previous match, and they thought, we can't be passive, we need to be aggressive, and we're aggressive purely for the sake of being aggressive rather than, for any sort of advantage or tactical, edge.
Gotta give props, though, to RGF, though. Their reception line was fantastic. Their rotation was fantastic. And they did a really good job responding to the movements and, flushing them off of Theta. The fact that they had an Annihilator up on Theta, like, how do you let that happen? How do you let an Annihilator get uncontested on Theta, and then the Hunchback towed around? Like, when the Hunchback pushed up last drop, I'm like, okay, well, he's fast and he can get in and out. but they pushed an Annihilator onto Theta. You basically left the door open for that Annihilator to just meander up there, and that's big.
Yep, that's tough. And the other thing I'll point out, I mean, look, even at this situation right now, they still had the cap win. Slow it down.
Yeah.
Get the cap advantage, get the better position, and slow it down. It's okay. You know, we've seen a lot of cap wins. Just for 228, like I said, I think they're going to go back and, you know, for these guys, they're not going to want to play Mining Collective for a little while. And if I were Blackwatch, I would make sure you're banning Mining Collective in their next drop or next round in the losers bracket there, because whatever they've been practicing, it's not working.
Yeah, I mean, mining is kind of the anti-228 right now, it seems. And like, even look at it, like they're still up on caps. 500 tickets to 400 this far into it. If they bought their team like an extra minute, maybe, like, it could have made a big difference. Or at least if they were able to soften up targets a little bit more. It's tough, because we can sit here all day and say, be aggressive, be aggressive, be aggressive, but then at the same time be like, don't be aggressive, don't be aggressive, don't be aggressive. It's really up to the... Be
aggressive when it's the right idea.
Right, and if you're going to be aggressive, be deliberate, and then know when it's time to not be aggressive anymore. Like, you can push someone off a spot through aggression and then hit the brakes and kind of let off a little bit so you don't go walking into a firing line. You know, you've won the terrain. You know, World War I fighting trench to trench to trench. Know when it's time to stop and let them come back into you. You know what I mean? Like, they had the caps on that.
Yep.
They did a great job on the left side, back capping, keeping the Vindicator at bay. They could have set themselves up into a reception for anybody that tried to come up on Theta for them. But really, when they were on Theta, stop peeking 1v3. Like, those were bad trades. Anytime you got one little tiny lane to walk in, and you're going to step out and there's going to be 3 mechs there looking back at you, don't do it! Don't peek that! That is a terrible idea. Unless somehow you've got people peeking in 5 different spots all at the same time to make them scatter their shots. But when one guy walks up and just gets annihilated, that's going to be a loss. Right, and
that match was so fast, I was just watching it again on the Twitch stream. That's painful. You're up on caps. You've got the cap points. You're up on tickets, and you've got the cap points. You move up with your main body on Theta. You've taken away their angles, and you're like, man, this is great. And then you just watch main body just keeps rolling off of Theta, coming around the left side, basically walking back into RJF, and you're just, you know, 228. Stop playing Mining Collective. You guys don't have it figured out. You will be able to ban it. Just ban it. Work on the other 4 maps.
Or you've got a little bit of time to fix it. I guess a day.
Yeah, I guess a day.
228 Swamp Foxes eliminated from the semifinals. I was expecting a little bit more out of them. They were not looking like they were looking even last week. And we did see some of the same issues that Swamp Foxes had in the past, where they had an issue, they fixed it mid-match, and were able to come out with a win. We were seeing a lot of those same issues resurfacing again. Iron Kilo and the Stalker getting caught out. Like, it's happened like 3 times already in the semifinals. You gotta be in the right place at the right time and know kind of where your enemy's moving. And maybe it's not necessarily an issue with what he's doing as much as maybe they don't have information. Maybe they don't know where the enemy is. And then it's an issue of scouting and calls, communication. It's hard to know exactly what the problem is, but we're seeing a lot of the same issues, and it just compounded on them. RJF coming up with a very clean win. And I don't want to take this away from RJF either. They played very clean. They did a lot of... They did everything right.
That was much better
I had no
RJF
criticisms.
than we've seen.
I had no criticisms. They cleaned up whatever issue they were having at the beginning of the semifinals. They figured it out. Played a lot. This was a lot more of the RGF that I think we're used to seeing. They must have been practicing this week or something, figured something out, and played a lot cleaner, a lot more reactionary, but they made the right reactions. Maybe the drop caller just had better information this time. I don't know, but this was definitely different. But I do feel like Swamp Foxes really kind of threw this one right into the paper shredder, unfortunately. It's harsh, but this is a lot of the basics and stuff that I think we've established watching however many casts we've watched in the last 4 years of us shoutcasting. It's painful to see that kind of stuff, especially at this level, because a lot of this stuff has been established as being a bad idea.
Yeah. And especially this stuff, like you said, Swamp Foxes really seemed like they started to turn the corner a little bit in their last match. RJF had some difficulties, and now we look at it and we say Swamp Foxes basically went back to square one, what we saw when they lost their first round, and instead now RJF has kind of figured that out. Very clean from RJF. I think that's the thing. They spread out nicely, they hold positions nicely, and they reacted in the right way. I mean, they weren't the ones that made Swamp Foxes do the ill-advised pushes, but they reacted in the right way to them. They had the information as soon as it was happening. They adjusted properly. They got the Hunchback in behind them. They had the Wolfhound coming in behind. They even got the Annihilator up there, which is just like a free bonus. I think if you're RJF's drop caller, you're probably not thinking it's going to be that easily. But they did the right thing. They had the right reactions for 228. And tough to see, tough to have them go out on that manner. But unfortunately for them, their run in the semifinals is over.